Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Good evening. Thank you so much for coming on and welcome to the NAU Sports Show. My name is Casey Everett. I am your host. And as always, if you are watching live or on replay, thank you. It really means a lot. Last week was week one of college football and NAU football. A lot happened. A lot happened everywhere, and we're going to talk about it. But before we do any of that, I have a new guest on that's never been on before. His name is Eric Newman, and he is the writer, the sports writer for Arizona Daily Sun. Eric, thank you so much for coming on. How are you today?
Good. I can see my nose is a little bit red. I was just out at a high school football practice. Still a little bit sunny here in Flagstaff, where I'm enjoying the nice weather while we've got it. But I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for coming on today. Hey, last week, NAU opened their season at home versus the defending national champions, Sam Houston. There was a lot of good things to see. Some things needed to be fixed. If you actually look at it, in the middle of the third quarter, the score was only 21-10. And then some things happened, and NAU lost the game 46-16. So can you kind of break it down a little bit and explain what all happened?
You're exactly right. NAU's defense played pretty well at first. The offense wasn't moving the ball all that well. There were a few good runs from running back Kevin Daniels, who got more carries than he had got. He had 11 combined carries this game, and that was the total from last season. So he kind of inserted himself into the lineup a little bit. But you're right. It was 21-10. NAU was driving the ball third quarter. They had just scored, gotten a nice stop, and they throw a pick six. And instead of making it a one-score game potentially, it's 28-10, and Sam Houston takes all the momentum back. And from there, 2 plays later, the Bearcats take another interception, go on to score again. And from that point, the game was kind of out of reach. And you're right, there were some good things going on. Like some defensive players played really well. Stacy Chakumezi on the receiving core played incredibly well. He had over 100 yards and he had a score. And they couldn't put it all together as a team, but there were some good things.
There were definitely some good things. Hey, I kind of forgot to actually introduce who you are. So I know for the people that really first started listening and watching, especially when this show was just a podcast, I had a guy named Lance Hartzler on my show quite a bit, and he was the sports writer and editor for the Arizona Daily Sun. A few months ago, he left for Montana, and Eric has been able to take his place as the new sports writer, and you have actually been doing a really good job.
Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. So tell us a little bit. Where did you go to school at? How did you find NAU? And how did you find out about Arizona Daily Sun?
I graduated from Marquette University, my undergrad in 2015 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I grew up in the Midwest, grew up in Minnesota, so Milwaukee was just a few hour drive away. Graduated there 2015, and I made my way over after a year in the workforce, not sports related at all. I went to graduate school at ASU and at the journalism school there, and finished 2017. Worked for a few years as a newspaper reporter in the Valley, covering mostly high school sports and local news. And then the job opened up. I knew Lance. He was a friend of mine. And I saw that he was leaving, and I was looking for something new in my career. Flagstaff seemed nice. I had been to visit just a couple times, and um, the job came open, and I contacted the editors, and it worked out.
Beautiful. So now that you've been in Flagstaff for a while, what do you believe is the best thing that has happened since you've been there for you?
Do you mean professionally or just in general?
Just in general.
I've loved the hiking. Of course, I've only been here. I moved here in May, so the weather's been beautiful this whole time. We've had some rain and fires and everything, but in the meantime, it's been super nice, and I've just enjoyed all the outdoor activities that I couldn't do in 115 degrees in Phoenix for a few years.
That is very, very true. Tell me, what are your thoughts on NAU and the dome?
It's cool. I mean, it beats the cold when it gets cold. I'm going to enjoy being inside for those days and everything. I've liked the campus a lot. The attitudes a lot of the coaches I've talked to have been great. I've gone and visited with most of the different programs at least once and gotten to meet them. And it seems like it's a university that's on the rise in a lot of ways, and that's athletically too. A lot of the sports are on an upward trend, and that includes football. We'll see how the record actually shakes out for them and a lot of the other teams, but it's been great so far.
Great, great. Now, um, have you been able to talk to Chris Ball, the head coach of NAU? And has he said anything that he sees that needs to be worked on before they go to South Dakota and play in week 2?
Yeah, he had a media availability on Monday. I listened into that. He was saying that a lot like what we were talking about, the game was kind of in the balance in that third quarter, and it came down to just a few plays. There were a few missed field goals, the 2 interceptions, and he actually harped on the interception they caused and the fumble they recovered, that they could have done more with those opportunities, like gotten more yards out of them, or gotten closer to scoring. And so he was saying that if they capitalize on some of those plays and limit their own mistakes, that's what it's going to take. He was really, really complimentary of South Dakota's physicality. He was saying they're one of the toughest teams in terms of physical strength and everything like that they might play all year. And so he was saying they have to kind of match that and be ready for it.
Now, NAU is getting ready to go to Vermillion, South Dakota, to face the Coyotes. Uh, South Dakota faced Kansas for week 1 and lost 17-14. So what do you think, or actually, what do you know, if anything, other than their physicality, about South Dakota Coyotes?
Well, the score, obviously it's a close game, 17-14, but it took a last minute, basically a minute and 10 seconds is when Kansas scored their touchdown to go up ahead and win. So they legitimately almost beat a big Power 5 conference FBS team. They've got a great running back over there. I'm not remembering his name at the moment, but he played really well in that game. Their defense is tough. It's they don't allow a lot of points generally. I think this could be a defensive battle. There's a chance that happens.
Got it. Now, let's kind of look around the Big Sky. There's this thing that is really the entire FCS. It's called Fear the FCS. Have you heard of it before?
No, I haven't heard that specifically, but I kind of understand.
So, Fear the FCS is quite simple. It means when an FCS team goes to an FBS team in their own home and beats them. In the first week, we've had so far 6 FCS over FBS victories. In the Big Sky alone, Eastern Washington went to UNLV and won in overtime 35-33.
Yep.
Montana, which is the huge game all over the nation, went to number 20 Washington and beat them 13-7. Outside of the Big Sky, East Tennessee State beat SEC Vanderbilt 23-3. Holy Cross beat UConn 38-28. And South Dakota State beat Colorado State 42-23. Also, UC Davis in the Big Sky, UC Davis beat Tulsa 19-17. So there's still a lot more soon to be future FCS versus FBS games, including Northern Arizona's Week 3 at Arizona.
Absolutely.
So what do you think about all that? Do you think that the reasoning why there has been so much success over FBS opponents is because of the spring season for the FCS?
I suppose that could have something to do with that. They're more polished. They played more recently, and especially in a week one where there's not a legitimate preseason in college football, that they could get something like that done. I think part of it has to do with there's extra motivation. Like these FCS teams, a lot of them, the kids maybe didn't get FBS offers, or they had to turn down FBS opportunities to go where they were wanted more. And they want to show, hey, we're just as good as these teams. And that's kind of their mindset going in. And for the FBS programs, it's just another game. There's a lot more to lose than the FCS, who just go in there, and it doesn't end up counting for their FCS record in the same way. So they just go and they play their hearts out. And a lot of times it ends up with good results.
Exactly. Well, Mr. Eric, I know it was a quick one, but thank you so much for coming on. I really enjoyed reading all of your articles with the Arizona Daily Sun. If someone wants to get a hold of you, what is the best way for them to do that?
I'm on Twitter at eNewmanWrites, ENEWMANWRITES, and you can reach my email for stories. It's eric.newman@lee.net.
Perfect. All righty, sir. Before I let you go, is there anything else that you would like to say?
No, thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing the show grow continuously and the rest of NAU sports seasons.
Sounds good. Hey, what quick last question before I do let you go. Score prediction.
That's a tough one. I think that it ends up being something in the low 20s. I could see like a 21-18, 24-21, something around those lines.
All right. Sounds good. All righty. Have a great night, and don't go anywhere, but I'll talk to you right after we're done, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it from me. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the NAU Sports Show. Week 2, Saturday, 2 p.m. Central. So that means 12 p.m. Arizona time. If you need to reach me, it's simple. At Twitter, at NAU Podcast, on Facebook, NAU Podcast, or email naupodcast@gmail.com. Like always remember, never forget, root NAU. Have a good night.